You're listening to the Marriage Clinic Podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now, your host, Joshua Margaret.
It is another Thursday. It should be 8 p.m. if you are in Ghana or in our time zone. We do have a lot of people who listen from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Sudan. We have a number of people who listen from Nigeria. We greet all of you. One of these days, I must find the African way of greeting you, the main way of greeting you from all these countries. We are glad. This is our episode 31. Episode 31. We've made it to 31 episodes this year. Let's not forget the Marriage Clinic podcast started in this year, 2022. We started in, I think it was March 2022. And God being so good, we've got this far. I think the name Uncle Josh is beginning to stick on me. And a lot of people are so just put in the chat, hello, Uncle Josh. Your very own Uncle Josh is here with the Marriage Clinic podcast. And today we have a very, very interesting subject. This is going to be very good for the ladies. It's going to be very good for the ladies. And the title will blow your mind. So before we do that, please please share the link on WhatsApp. Share it on your Facebook status, because we are on Twitter, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and we are where you can get audio podcasts. So please do share it. This is the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. Your personal development. Great. Today I'm talking about 14 signs that show he is serious about marriage. 14 signs that show he's serious about marriage. I have a lot of people who come to me and say, Uncle Josh, I've been dating him for this long. How do I know he will marry me? Or we've been dating for 2 months. How do I know it's going to end in marriage? And some of them even say, how do I know this is a serious guy? Even when I've not yet said yes, what are some of the things I can see that will help me know that he's serious enough and he will want to settle down, and it's not just a hit and run situation. Hit and run is a term that we use where he just wants to sleep with you and then disappear. So, if you are not yet dating him, some of these things will be helpful. You could even see some of these things before you've even agreed to his proposal. Ladies, when a guy comes and tells you, hey, I just saw you across the dance floor. I just saw you in the restaurant and I'm wondering if I could have your number. I'd like to get to know you better. And after a couple of days or a couple of weeks, he says, hey, you know what? I really would want you to be my girlfriend. I would advise you to get to know him as much as possible before you say yes or you say no. So sometimes there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, from the get-go, I think I like you, but I don't know enough about you. And give me a chance to get to know you first before I can say a yes or a no. And if he's pushing, you say, well, there are two things. If you are pushing for an answer now, the answer is no. If you are willing to let us become friends, it may be a yes. And that helps because listen, woman, you choose. Whoever you marry, you chose. If you're in the marriage and you are saying, I married a fool, guess what? You chose a fool. And what does that make you? Because women have the right of choice. So use it wisely. Now, so we are looking at 14 things. I started with 10, but I got to 14. I hope I can give all of them to you. 14 signs that show he's serious about marriage. Now, it's important to note this, that after you've dated for about 5 to 6 months, you should be able to tell if this relationship is leading to marriage. You should be able to tell if this relationship is leading to marriage. Most of the time, you should be able to tell. Now, the steps to dating is in a woman's hands, or it's in her side of the court if we are using a tennis expression, because it's the woman who has to say yes. Oh, hello, I like you. Can you be my girlfriend? It's a yes or a no. So that is in the hands of the woman. When and if you will get married is in the hands of the man. Accepting the proposal is in the hands of the woman. When and if you will get married, it's because in most cultures, especially in Africa here, it's the man who marries the woman. It's not the woman who marries the man. Even if she provides the resources, it's still the man who marries the woman. So knowing this, you need to be able to figure out. That's why I'm saying signs that show he is serious about marriage. I didn't say he or she. I said he, because he must take the step. And in a country like Ghana, he has to go for the list. That's the dowry list, where they tell him the things that traditionally must be provided. He must bring his family members to come and greet your family members and tell them that he's interested in getting married to you. I've never seen a lady's family go to a man's family and say, well, you know what? Your son has been dating our daughter for the last 5 years and we are coming to take a list because now we'll marry him. Okay. So remember that the step to dating is in the woman's hands. The step to marriage is in the man's hands. Okay? Now, because some women don't know these signs, the men drag them on and lead them on and keep yanking their chain. And sometimes they are 3 years into the relationship, 5 years into the relationship, and the thought of leaving the relationship to start again, they've missed so many opportunities. So I'm going to talk to you about signs. If you don't see these signs in your relationship early, you may want to reconsider whether you want to put all your eggs into that basket. If I talk about these things and you don't see the signs with the Jerry you are dating, or the, what other names are out there? The Ernest, the Cletus, the Charles, or whatever. If you don't see those signs in him, you may want to go back to him and say, you know what? We've been dating for like a year now, and I'm not seeing signs that you want to settle down. So let's do it this way. I love you, but let me consider my other options. Sign number 1, a sign that shows he wants to settle down, is he likes who you are and isn't forcing you to change. If you are dating a guy who it looks like he wants to renovate you and change you, it's most likely that you are not the kind of person he wants to settle down with, and he's trying to see if he can upgrade you. So you say, change your clothes. The way you dress is not good enough. You talk too much in public. Can't you do this? You need to become more sensible. It feels like you are with a class teacher that is trying his best to mold you into something else. Am I saying that when you are dating someone, the person will not want you to improve? Yes, the person will want you to improve. But where you feel like the person has a list in his mind that he's trying to force you to become something before he's willing to settle down, that's not a good sign. But when he likes you for who you are and is not forcing you to change, you get the feeling that you are what he wants. That's a good sign. He will soon wife you. All right? Number 2, he talks in definite time-bound terms about marriage. He's not saying one day. He's not saying one day when we marry. He's talking about things like, hey, I'd really like to settle down with you. At least in the, when you're talking with him, he says, oh, I see myself married in the next 16 months, 18 to months to 2 years. Or he says, probably maybe he's 25. He says, I want to be married before I'm 28. He's talking in definite terms, time-bound terms. And he talks about marriage. If a guy is not talking about marriage around you, my sister, it's a bad sign. So he talks in definite time-bound terms about marriage. And when he's engaging you, he's asking you, how soon do you want to get married? And sometimes it's rather the lady who is dragging her feet. but time-bound terms about marriage, he will wife you. Number 3, he has an organized life. You see, that's why I say get to know him. Because as you begin to observe his life and the things he has achieved, you may realize that he's not wealthy, but he went back to school. He's come. He's tried to do this. He's looked for a means of transport. He's supporting his little siblings. There's an organization to his life that makes you know that, this guy. One day my wife jokingly said something. She said, so if I had not said yes to your proposal, what would have happened? I said, well, after a while, I would have moved on. And she said, sometimes I imagine how I would have turned around and looked at you now and said, wow, this man could have been my husband. I said, don't go far. There are a lot of people who are doing that. Sorry, let me stop laughing. So Uncle Joshua should stop joking. Uncle Joshua should get serious here. So he has an organized life. Okay? They say a baby elephant may be small, but you know it will grow big. Number 4, he has put the playboy lifestyle aside. He's not intent about too many girls. Like, he may never have been a playboy, or he's been there, he's done that, he's bought the t-shirts, he's done. So he's not playing around any longer. He's not hiding his phone from you. You get what I'm trying to say? Yes, even when other ladies are having conversations with him, you are not the only lady in his life, but he's opened about it. But where he's still, you talk to him in the night, he says he's going to bed, and then you check he's online. Obviously, it's just your time that has ended. You go to his house at an odd time and he's fine with it. He opens the door. He says, oh, you came to surprise me. Hey, that's great. I was just thinking about you. Or he meets you with other ladies and he says, hey, meet my girlfriend. That's a person who has put playboy life aside. But where he's cocooned you, it's a red flag. So number 4, he's put his playboy lifestyle aside. Number 5, he doesn't push for cohabitation. Cohabitation is when you start living with him. Whether you are living with him in weekends or permanently, he's not pushing for that. And ideally, he's not even pushing for sex. You see, when a guy knows that in a year's time, you are going to be mine and I can turn you upside down and do anything, there's not a rush. Cohabitation. Chances that he will marry you if you start living with him and spending weekends and things at his place are very low. So when you meet a guy who is not pushing and he's not saying, oh, pack a bag and come and put here. When they start saying pack a bag and come and put here, they have no intention of wifing you anytime soon, but they want wife benefits on a girlfriend's salary. He's not pushing for cohabitation. Number 5. He's comfortable talking about marriage and the wedding around you. You don't have to bring it up. If you are the one who is always bringing up wedding, and he's always dodging, some guys can dodge conversations about weddings like, hey, you start saying, so on our wedding day, he says, what were the scores to the match anyway? He's always trying to change the subject. It's a red flag. But when he loves to talk about marriage and wedding, he says, when we get married, what colors are you thinking about for the wedding? Or when it keeps coming up, it's a good sign. Okay? He's comfortable talking about marriage and weddings. Number 7, he pushes for the list and to meet your family. You see, if the guy is organized, he may want to marry you in a year's time or a year and a half, but he wants to know what it is going to cost. So he's asking. He may not be asking for the official list, but he's like, can you find out what it takes? So when he's asking for a list and he's pushing for a list, it normally means he's serious. I know there are some players who do that. So it's a collage of all these things, not just one of these things. And he wants to meet your family. He wants to know your mom. He wants to meet your dad. He wants to meet your siblings. If he's avoiding meeting your family, there's a problem. If he's avoiding meeting your family, there's a problem. But where he pushes to meet your family, that's a good sign. Number 8, he fears God. I didn't say he's religious. I didn't say he's a pastor. I didn't say he speaks in tongues. I didn't say he attends church. I said he fears God. Where the person has a healthy relationship with God. Let me take off my glasses and say this one so that you realize I'm serious. Where he has a healthy relationship with God and wants to become a better person. He may not do all the things that we do today that show people are religious, but where he fears God, where you even see in his other actions with people, he doesn't want to treat people wrongly because he fears God. It's a good sign. Okay? That brings us to number 9. Significant people in his life know you. Significant people in his life know you. Significant people like his parents, significant people like his siblings, significant people like his pastor, his boss, his close friends. Where significant people know you, and they don't know you as a friend, they know you as his girlfriend that he wants to marry. One of the things I do when a lady brings a guy to see me is I ask, when are you going to marry her? When he starts saying we want to steady each other first. I know, I'm like, but when he says in about a year or two, or he says I'm in school, once I graduate, I want to get married. Or I've been asking her, she's not telling me when she wants to marry me. Then you know it's a serious person. So when he begins to introduce you to significant people in his life, it shows that he values you and he really does want to settle down with you. I'm not saying it will end in marriage because you can do yawa and the thing will not work. But often when a guy introduces you to the significant people in his life, it's a sign that he really does want to settle down with you. Number 10, he is proud of you on social media and other public places. When he says this is our relationship, people have bad eyes. So let's not be putting it out there. Most likely you are not the only one. But when he shares pictures of you and him going out, you go for a friend's wedding, you guys take pictures, he doesn't mind sharing it, he celebrates your birthday. Now social media has come to stay. When he is not ashamed of you in public, and anybody who views his status or around him knows that you are in his life, it's a good sign. He's proud of you in public. But where he's hiding you, he says, you see, and you know that lie they tell, I'm not a public person. I like to keep my things quiet. Or boy, at least once in a while. You know why? The primal thing in a man, which is male, every male likes to mark its territory. When a guy puts your picture on uses you as his DP, shares your picture on Facebook and on Twitter and does little TikTok videos with you in it, it is he telling the world that she is mine. But when he doesn't want to do that, it's either he's not sure or there are other people. I can just see some of you picking up your phones now and calling, hey, Akwesi, you don't share me. Are you? All right. So he's proud of you on social media and on other platforms. Another good sign that he would want to marry you is when his close friends are married or are getting married. Guys do things in groups. We do things in packs. If most of his friends are married, trust me, he will soon want to get married. Most of his friends are getting married. This week he says, let's go for this guy's wedding. The next time he's traveling to be a best man over here. Because even within that pack, there's pressure that they begin to mount on him. So if he's attending these things and his friends are getting married and he has married friends, it's a good sign. All right? Brings us to number 12. We're running out of time. I probably will take an extra 2 minutes of your time this week. Brings us to number 12. He is focused and shows leadership qualities. Where the man is a focused man and he shows leadership qualities, you can tell that he's going places. You can tell that this is a life that is being lived well. You can tell that he wants to make ends meet. You can tell he's not wasting time with unnecessary things. He wants marriage. Number 13, he values the concept of marriage and family. If he has an elder sister who has kids, sometimes the kids come to spend time at his end. When he's engaging you, the way he talks about marriage and family, you can see that he values that whole concept of marriage and family. It is very important and it's a good sign. Number 14, he talks about your future together. He talks about your future together. If in conversations with him, he says, one day when we grow old, we will do this, we will do that. Do you want to have a swimming pool in your home? We've heard about the swimming accident with that popular musician. And maybe in conversation, he says, one day when we build our dream house, should we do this? Or which countries do you want to travel with? You can see that he's forming future. And in that future, you are featuring. It rhymes. I probably should be a rapper. He's forming future. And in that future, you are featuring. Maybe I need a few more lines and I'll drop my LP soon. So these are some things. Now, if while I'm talking about these 14 things, he checks at least 8 to 9 of them, you're in a good place. But if he's the opposite of what I'm saying, my sister, run. We end it here. This has been the Marriage Clinic podcast. You can find me on all the socials, Dr. Joshua Mogri. Now I go by Uncle Josh. I've renamed myself, rebranded myself. Uncle Josh is here for you. Put in questions you may have. Put in some fire in the chat. Share this with people. It's been a pleasure coming to you, and we will be back next week. Take good care of yourself. Love you all. Mwah.